Now, social media is breeding a new type of advertiser, and they're stealing funds away from traditional marketing firms. Increasingly, brands are realizing that traditional commercials are losing their reach.
Last year, Instagram influencer marketing alone was at about $1.2 billion, and that number is expected to nearly double in 2018. These influencers are cashing in on their own authenticity, turning it into big business.
What I tell people when they do say, like, I don't know what an influencer is, what's an influencer? My standard definition is an influencer is someone who has a social media following that they have worked to build. They've created an audience.
Someone who can persuade indirectly or directly to the consumer just by, being relatable and being trustworthy.
And they work with brands to get their message across, brands that make sense for their audience.
They will partner with them to promote some kind of product or activity, organization, so forth. And through this partnership, they're able to influence their followers to buy the product or try it out.
Being a relatable ad, in a sense, is how I would say an influencer is. Like, we're still, for the most part, selling things like, hey, buy this outfit, it's cute on me, but it's in a way where, like, I like it, so you're gonna like it too if you like me.
Oh, honey. Between 2012 and 2015, it was a lot of like, hey, I have this blog. I think that, your restaurant would be a really great feature for me to talk about. Do you want to work with me? And people would kind of look at you sideways and be like, oh, you're a blogger. And I would go places and they would have like maybe a media event or something and people would be like, oh, the blogger's here. And they would kind of like roll their eyes at you and laugh a little bit like, that's not a real job. Roll around to 2018 and people are like coming out of the woodwork. Everybody wants to be an influencer and brands are like, where are the influencers? Get the influencers, we need the influencers. And you walk in and they're like, oh, the bloggers are here. Like the reception is so different.
I always had good feedback from people. I realized that people were liking the content that I was putting out there. But it wasn't until I started getting brands that started reaching out to me to collaborate with them. It's to the point now where it's like I'm getting emails a couple of times a day, like every week, from different people wanting to collaborate.
All different collaborations are different, but say I was using one of the networks that I work with. Traditionally speaking, they may have a brand that said, we're gonna do a campaign, say it's on, we'll just say yogurt. So they say, okay, the campaign pays $500. We want one Instagram post. Sometimes they'll want stories, so they might say we want 3 story slides. And sometimes they want a blog post, so they'll say this is gonna pay $500, or depending on your following, that could be more or less. They're gonna base it on your following, your engagement, whatever their opinion is that they think you're worth. And this can vary greatly per brand. So I'll say, do I like your yogurt? Yeah. Do my kids eat it? Yeah. Can I envision something creative that would fit in my Instagram feed? Yeah. So I say, yeah, I want to do this. Get the product, create your content, create captions. Now these captions have to be well thought out. They have to be authentic. And they also have to include ad, because the Federal Trade Commission says you can't represent a brand and get paid for it and not expose to your audience that this was an advertisement. Once they approve the draft, then you post it, and then you pray to God, people love it. And then hopefully they click on it and then buy the product, or they're influenced by it, or maybe they'll like comment on it and engage and say how much they also like the product. And that's how a campaign works. Influencers are reaching an audience that's increasingly unplugging, putting down anything paper and printed, and they're right here on their phones. It's also, the more mature population. They're changing their habits as well. Influencers are just right there speaking from the heart about things that they like, and they're meeting the audience where they're at.
As a business owner, you don't look at like paper print or commercials. I'm almost 50, so like I know like yellow pages and everything, and that's not what people do anymore.
I was thinking the other day about email and how quickly it's sped up business practices and getting things done, for the better and for the worse. But I was like, what did people do before this? I guess in the 80s, they just talked on the phone a lot. Before that, like if you needed to communicate with someone on the other side of the world, you were sending letters or telegrams. Like now, every single day, I'm sending out like 20 to 50 emails to people all over the world. Wow, it's just sped up business, and technology is gonna continue to do that, and we're gonna be there. I work with a lot of brands that are new to influencer marketing here regionally. What people are looking for when they market is impressions, and influencers can offer that. They're looking for that influencers' audience's eyeballs, and they're understanding that they can pay nearly $1,000 for a 6-page ad in a magazine that has 250,000 distribution. Maybe 2 people look at that magazine, maybe more. You don't really know exactly how many eyeballs are gonna look at that, but they have estimations out there. Or they can pay $100 10 times to 10 influencers that have 10 to 20,000 followers. Each of those 10 to 20,000 followers reach 40 to 60,000 people a week, and therefore you see that broadcast capability blowing up. So that's why people are using influencers. Their broadcast capability is enormous.
I think it's better. It's cost effective. Like nothing wrong with magazines and stuff, but it's just how the world is right now. Everyone's like on their phone before they pick up a magazine.
They used to pay millions of dollars for these major campaigns. And granted, those might be something that was going to be on a major billboard and we're doing something that's here, but if the same amount of people are seeing it, it's still worth the same amount.
I started my blog back in 2011. I came up with a fashion food blog. Right now I'm currently an ambassador for Curly's Barbecue, and they'll send me their product and I'll create a recipe with it, and I'll blog about it, create a story behind it, and then I'll post it on social media and tag them, of course. I had never heard of Curly's Barbecue before until they reached out to me, and I didn't even realize that they were right there in the grocery store. So, and I know that a lot of my friends have never heard of it either until I brought it to their attention. So I think that when brands reach out to influencers to do things like this, it's to get their brand out there in another market that they may not have been able to touch on their own.
I own Lash Studio. It's also known as Lash Jack's Studio. I just want to have as much opportunity to share what we're doing and what our business is about, and social media absolutely offers that opportunity. In the beginning, I would look on Instagram and I would try to find local bloggers that aligned with what we were doing, and I felt like their audience was our audience. And then I would just reach out to them. If the question is, do I see influencers driving business to me? Is that the question? Oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely. And it's recommended.
You have these people saying, I use this, here's me actually using this product, it's actually working. So I, in turn, am gonna promote it to you, and I wanna share that with you.
I'm on Instagram all the time, and so their ads and everything, everyone that posts all that stuff is what I'm looking at more than anything else. So it really influences what I buy and look at.
I would describe it as that perfect medium for the everyday person to feel like it's not an ad. Like if you feel like I'm your friend and I'm using this eyeliner and you can ask me and I'm like, yeah, this is good. Then I feel like, you build that trust. It's like literally having a friend that has a bunch of other, that's known by a bunch of people that recommend something.
I think really companies like people who are real and aren't just posting just to post a picture and that's it. And people who connect and actually promote the products well.
Influencers have real engagement with people.
You could be the most talented person ever, but if you don't know how to engage and have your own audience and find that audience and know that you're a brand, you're gonna miss out.
Most likely, one of my followers can DM me and I'll respond. They can comment and I'm probably gonna respond. They can ask me a question about what I just promoted or used and I'm probably gonna respond. So I think it's that relatability. It feels more like your friend next door, your neighbor that just has an online presence, as opposed to that disconnect. I feel like we bridge that gap. If there's someone that I really like on Instagram and she always interacts with me or answers a question, when she says this concealer is good, I take a mental note. Even if I don't buy right away, it's so yeah, if I feel like if I like you and I've built trust with you, I do take into consideration what you recommend.
I've seen my posts influence people's purchasing patterns, I guess, through my friends at school even. They've come up to me and been like, oh, I loved your outfit in this last picture. Where'd you get it from? I've got to get that outfit.
It's changing a generation, right? It's changing the way they think the way they shop.
Honestly, if no one's using a product on social media, I definitely think twice before I buy it.
I think my audience are more browsers, but I do use affiliate links where I can see if they purchase. So I can see if there's something that was like really a hot topic and they go in and they like actually make purchases. You can see if they're following the link, and if they're at least following the link, that means they're paying attention to the brand and seeing it. So it's definitely already swaying and influencing them in that direction. But then a lot of times, because I do travel, it's fun when people like post their vacation photos, or they go like, I had a girl went to Cuba and she read my Cuba blog and she was like, we went to that restaurant you talked about. Then I had a friend that, you know, she told another friend that she knew was going to Cuba. She's like, you have to go to this place. Amy West said to go there. We went there, we loved it. You have to go. And I was like, yes.
Influencers are going to continue to flourish.
Right now, I feel like brands are still, like, they're seeing the benefit, and like they pay influencers a lot of money, but they're getting it probably greater return than they would have doing it on TV. So I feel like they're seeing the benefit, and they're gonna keep doing that for a long, long time. Because even if people get bored with somebody else will come along, you know.
I'm excited because there's so many cool things you can do with technology that allow you to share experiences.
Community is always going to be important. That's the main thing that social media really tapped into, was community and bringing people together from around the world. The downside of that is now people say, you know, we're less and less social. We're not looking each other in the eye, and I think that that needs to turn around, and influencers can be a part of that. And that's what I try to do with my community of influencers is let's get together and see each other face to face and not just be talking online in a forum, but like how can we connect in person? And the brands want to connect with you in person as well. So I think influencers will be a part of that conversation, but I think there's always going to be a desire for community and worldwide community. So wherever that technology is on the edge and on the forefront, that's where influencers will go with it.
What a wonderful world.